Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Nathan Stabina. I'm with Paystock Global, and I'm really looking forward to the discussion we're going to have today with Nick Raxter from KaizApp. So I'll get Nick to introduce yourself in a second, but Nick and I have very similar backgrounds. Our official or formal training was in engineering, and then we spent years, decades in whatever you want to call it, continuous improvement or lean or Six Sigma. We're not going to get involved in the semantics of what those mean to you, but it's really a great application, an app called KaizApp that could really help with all your needs in these areas. So Nick, would you like to just introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Nick Raxter. I'm originally from the UK. I live on continental Europe these days. I lead a company called KaizApp, which builds on all my years of experience delivering continuous improvement, performance improvement, and transformation for many corporations and private equity groups over at least 2 decades. There's also mixed in with some good corporate experience as well. I've been a group chief operating officer and an operations director, but sort of my core is all the performance improvement work and turnaround work that I've done particularly for manufacturing type of operations.
So over the years, you must have seen a lot of changes going on. So let's say if we look back over 10 years, what kind of changes have you seen in the area of continuous improvement, and how can technology be used to help people with their projects?
Yeah, well, continuous improvement itself has not seen, most people in that area have not seen a great deal of change, but in performance improvement more so. So if we define sort of continuous improvement as the very sort of incremental change, it's sort of close to the shop floor, which is not really the right definition, but it's the definition that most people would relate to. Then performance improvement is more about what we set ourselves a goal. So the goal could be reduce lead time by 50%, or reduce defects or PPM by 50%, whatever. So in that space, there's actually a lot of technologies come along the last 10 years, or at least it's matured if it was around before 10 years ago. So, for example, data mining, that wasn't that well known 10 years ago. It did exist, of course it did. Microsoft Teams, even think about that. I mean, Teams was around, I think, 10 years ago, but wasn't well used. That's been a huge change for people, particularly since COVID. We've got things like sensors and automation and sort of decision support, and even automating some of the decision making. So prescriptive analytics. That whole area has really grown in the last 10 years, and then the really sort of exciting area, sort of digital twins and AI and so on. That's expanded greatly the last 10 years. But I think if you look at industry as a whole, it's still actually quite small. It would be more and that's where you sort of have to distinguish between different types of industries and maturities, and we've got high volume, low complexity production, and low complexity, high volume, and large corporate plants that are very sort of mature businesses with stable long-term products. And then on the other hand, you've got factories that are making products that are much more changing much more rapidly. And you've got like private equity. You have some very sort of you often find some less developed factories in the PE world that are capable of a lot more improvement. So yes, there's been a lot of change. A lot of change has come by. It's not affected everyone. So you could easily be watching this and think, I've been through so much change in performance improvement with technology, but you could also watch this webinar and think, well, I haven't really seen very much of what you're talking about. So there's a whole spectrum of experiences out there. Does that relate to? Does that sort of mirror your own experiences, Nathan?
Yes, it has. You mentioned AI, but I'm going to come back to that in a few minutes. But if I look at leaders, like no one will say they're against continuous improvement. Everybody wants to improve their performance of their operations. But why do you think leaders still don't maximize the use of performance improvement tools to help them increase their profit? So you must have seen this over the years, but I'd be curious to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, I've got multiple experiences. If I think back to a role where I was global head of operational excellence for a corporate, right? I remember joining and actually having spent the first year leading a transformation program, which became a suite of performance improvement projects later on. And if you think, and I also remember my own experiences being a COO myself. And what you tend to find is that leaders will get beaten for results. If we're honest about it, you have to deliver the results if you're at the top. And that is inevitably going to mean you're going to be more reactive. There are many people who have been pretty good practitioners. Practitioners of lean and operational excellence who, when they become leaders, become quite reactive, and it's not them; it's the way they're driven by the system they're part of. So you need to deliver results. You're time poor, and improvement tends to be leaders tend to find it quite. They can find it quite painful to understand what's actually going on with improvement. There tends to be a lot of files, a lot of information, and when you ask for an update on a project, you'll often get quite long, convoluted answers. So the way we work today on performance improvement still doesn't really serve what leaders need in terms of getting updates. It's sort of not easy for them to get the update they need in a short amount of time. So that will inevitably mean that they're likely to, on average, sort of shy away from getting too involved because of the time that it takes. So you tend to get less frequent, involvement. There's a number of things going on in there, and I'm trying. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of factories. So I'll talk to a sort of an average situation that I see here. There's a whole spectrum of context, but the other reason is because if the improvements you're working on or the pace of their delivery is too slow, then that does not help to motivate leaders to pour more time into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something I've seen from my experience. So the audience may or may not know, like my background is in Six Sigma. I'm a master black belt in Six Sigma. I've literally seen hundreds and hundreds of projects. And the ones that succeed are the ones where the plant manager phones up the black belt or the green belt every couple of days or at least once a week and say, how's the project going? Do you have any bottlenecks? And the big disasters are the ones where, it might take a quarter or even 6 months before the two connect. And then it's like, oh, I forgot you were working on the project. We solved that 4 months ago, which is demoralizing for everybody involved. So the more engaged the leaders are, the quicker they can see the results, could be the financial or how the projects are going, the better those projects tend to be. And have you seen these type of approaches over the years as well?
Yeah. The thing I think about with that is you're absolutely right about that. It's always the case. I always worry when in a situation where a leader pays a lot of attention to a particular project because it's really important to them. So that's fine, obviously.
Right.
But what about all the others and all of the other people and all of the other, performance improvement projects or even continuous improvement projects, whatever everything else where the leader hasn't got the time to pay that attention. So you really need something in your governance where there's an opportunity to present the live projects, the live problems that are being solved to a leader in a sort of time efficient way. So even if you share one every 3 minutes and do it for an hour every week or every 2 weeks, or I'm not suggesting the answer here. I don't know each plant has its own context and its own governance, right? But you need a way to sort of you need a way to build that in to the governance.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we want to motivate all the owners of all the projects, and the leader doing that, not just the leader at the very top, but at each level, having that practice happen at more than one level of the organization, as almost like as a chain, as part of the alignment as well, can help with that obvious gap where we chase one project because that's our favorite, and then leave all the others.
Well, what you just said kind of leads me into my next question. So I've actually used the app. I should let the audience know. And people send me things to try all the time, different ideas. But there's several things that I really loved about it. One was the people working on the project, that person's supervisor, all the way up to the plant manager, they can see different granularity of the project. So if you're working on a project, you want every detail about it, and maybe your boss wants pretty much the same thing. But someone who's following dozens or 100 projects can't get those details, so they get a cascaded look at the various projects. So the financial business cases kind of get rolled up, and you can see the progress of individual projects, or the progress of several projects all at once. The other thing I really love about your app, and we could talk a bit about AI as well, is some of the tools. They're not that they're difficult, like a Fishbone or a 5Y, but they take a lot of time, and then you can't just do one by yourself. You need a whole group of people. But with your approach, you can fill in maybe 80-90% of a Fishbone within a matter of seconds or maybe a minute, where you can ask a simple question, why did my pizza burn? And it'll fill in the Fishbone, and then you can review that with the whole team and capture things that maybe the AI didn't get, or dig deeper in the 5Y, several levels down on one particular part of the Fishbone. So I've given you a few things there, and the other thing is how simple and quick it is to get the business case, which a lot of people don't spend enough time doing. And then, like, why would the plant manager be really motivated or interested in your project if he doesn't know, or she doesn't know, what the business case is? So I've given you several things there. I don't know if you want to comment on what I like about the app, or what you like about the app, or what even motivated you to develop the app to begin with.
Yeah. So I mean, across my experiences, so I work for 3 consultancies. I've been global head of operational excellence. I've turned around many factories. I've been in more than 1,000 factories in my time, for sure. I've also been a group chief operating officer. From all those positions that I've done and improvement that I've delivered, you start to see a pattern in what doesn't work well, and therefore, okay, so what can we do to improve that? And what really helps is if you give each of the people that you want to engage in improvement, like, exactly what they need. So leaders need to see where we are. What is the status? How are we tracking against the goal? How are we tracking against the business case? And whether you're leading at a scale multi-site level. So if you're leading 50 factories, or if you're leading one factory or a region, or you're just leading part of a factory, you need to see the status that's relevant to you. And that's seriously helpful to have that. But to have that status to engage the leaders, you would need to work in a live way. If that makes sense. So for example, if we work in Excel on a computer, we're offline. We're working on files now that get stored in folders. A folder on OneDrive, you can argue, is live, but it's not the same kind of live. So we need to work. If we work in a live way, then it's possible to have that live status. So what helps to solve a lot of the lost time and the delays and the difficulties in collaborating whether that's across shifts or across factories or or even across languages. We solve that too. You've got to go to live, right? So for this, you need a system. You put the improvements in the system. You design it for mobile, so you can capture everything with a mobile. You allow to bring together this sort of world of files and Microsoft Office with media, like your images and your videos and so on. You allow to put all of that together, and then to the challenge with templates, right? So we can solve that with so for example, like a project charter template or other templates to do with defining the project. If we can build those in, and we can arrange those in a really nice linear structure, so that you just by using the application, you're just automatically guided through what you need to do. So you don't have to worry too much about. You have to worry really about following the process or using the right templates, or if you're not experienced with improvement, because it's not really what you do day to day. You're a manager or you're a team lead off the shop floor. If you do less improvement, then the application you don't need to have great confidence in your past experiences, from your past experiences solving problems, and delivering improvements. You just allow yourself to be guided by the application through the steps. You can iterate, even if you need to iterate. It will guide you through to success with setting up goals, setting up business case. In terms of business case, right, this is one that I've noticed thousands of times. That it seems the majority of people in operations are not comfortable creating a business case, saying that there's this amount of dollars there if we do this, right?
Right.
People will maybe have the idea, maybe have they'll have a feeling for the size of the number, but don't want to say it because don't want to be held responsible for that. You can't entirely take away the accountability for delivery, obviously, but we can actually support this we can actually add finance into KaizApp to track all of the benefits for all of the problems we're solving and the improvements we want to deliver. And this is some really interesting ideas here. So, for example, we do have there are many factories using operations, call centers, all sorts of operations using KaizApp, where the person doing this particular improvement I'm thinking of is actually quite junior. It's a great improvement idea. They're working on it. We're building it up and delivering it. They'd actually have access to the business case. It's part of the project, but they don't access that. Actually, a finance person has built that out, got it approved, and is tracking that on a monthly basis, without the improvement owner really even being aware of that. So this is like a real collaboration between.
That's actually beautiful, because back when I was doing Six Sigma with Naranda Falkerbridge days, the finance person at the end of the project had to sign off that the savings was actually, let's say, $1 million, but they really weren't involved in the project from the beginning. But with this approach, the person working on the project could take a quick stab at the business case, and then the finance people could make suggestions or get involved the whole way through, as opposed to signing off on something they weren't terribly involved with all the way through. That's a great advantage.
My experience is that finance tend not to be involved enough in performance improvement. In transformation programs where the numbers get really large, they much more so. But it's often not immediately obvious what finance might add, and then when you include them, they ask questions, and then you learn that they actually, surprisingly, they have actually quite a lot to add. And I've seen great benefit from better involving finance.
Right.
Yeah, I think other things are things like. One of the things that's hard to imagine is because we come from this sort of this world of apps these days, and an app on a device tends to do tends to have quite a narrow scope. Apps for like where you're doing that for conference calling, like Teams, sort of focusing on one thing. And there are some I've seen some companies have got databases for best practice, and that's known, right? But what you really need is it's actually about 20 different apps, right, that have been properly integrated, properly knitted together, and not by a developer, but by someone who spent a career doing performance improvement. And that's really what KaizApp is. It's built for leaders. It's built for middle management. It's built for shop floor improvement as well. It's built for finance to do the benefit tracking. You got the AI is integrated, so you can solve any problem now with AI. I mean, I think we're going to come on to AI a little bit later, but we've integrated AI, so you've got unlimited support whenever you want it. And you can be on it all day, asking, going through a series of questions to help you either solve a problem or to provoke that thought that you might not have had otherwise without being prompted by something. If lean coaches, I've been one, and I think you've been a Six Sigma coach yourself, and our audience contains many other lean coaches and Six Sigma coaches. We have limited capacity. We can't support an unlimited number of people. When we do, things slow down, and then you have a risk of stall. So to have built into the tools and the templates and the documents you'll use, to have built in unlimited support to solve problems built in right there, and in such a way that the coach can see the history of the conversation. You can chat with your coach, your manager. You can have that collaboration with chat messages, but you can also do the same with the AI, and that whole trail will be there so that you can see that and actually help to unblock people in the improvement efforts. It's an enormous leap forward to have that so the real emphasis here on properly designed, properly integrated, designed for the I won't say the customer, but for the different types of user, so that they have precisely what they need, so that and the result of a system like this is that everything is always up to date. I mean, you might be late putting in a financial, the actual for the last month, right? But everything is there. The whole history is there. The conversations are there. So, we can see where everything is live, and then for all the improvements that we've done 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and most of the people have left the company already, you can find it all. You can search it in seconds. So I think improvement has been the role of improvement has too long had very, very fragmented technology, right? So what we can do with a system like this is say, well, let's say we're doing an improvement and we're using, for example, data mining, the data mining opportunity.
Right.
Well, that's a project. We can have that in KaizApp and track that. Okay. Well, we've got a performance improvement project. For example, we want to reduce the lead time by 50%, right? Okay, well, we can have that in KaizApp. We can track the goals and the business case and all of the actions and the project plan. And it can keep going. All the different types of improvement at all the different levels can all be structured in KaizApp, all tracked there. And now you engage. Now the leader's engaged. All the owners of all the improvement projects all have exactly the same understanding of what improvement is, what the improvement cycle is, what the steps are, how we do a plan, how we write a problem statement. So we don't have there's a particular, I digress, but there's a particular one of thousands of features in KaizApp. There's a particular feature where it guides you to create the perfect problem statement. Works for everything. And so the point is, you can have this incredible standardization without even trying. It is all customizable, of course. So if that's a very important point. each organization needs to be able to use the terminology they're familiar with, right? It's very important. So obviously the application allows for that terminology customization.
Actually, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, because the fishbone, we used one called 6P, and we used our own little categories. But if another company, had 5Es, I guess they can use the one
Yes.
that's built into KaizApp. But if they want to change it to match their own, they can do that. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. The fishbone is, there's so many examples to make, but the fishbone is a good example. It's a very commonly used problem-solving tool, right? If I look at what you tend to see happening in plants is, okay, there's an issue. There was a performance deviation yesterday, right? Okay, we had the day before that we had 55 units output. Yesterday we had only 45. We're 10 short. What happened? Okay, something happened. X. Okay, well, right. We need to study that. So let's unpick this. So we'll decide. We'll pick on this as an improvement opportunity, and as part of investigating it, we want to do a fishbone diagram. You start off with a very intimidating blank template. Yeah. there's a lot to fill in. It's a lot of thinking behind filling it in. So this takes time to think through. So what will tend to happen is at some point later we'll book a workshop, and potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. You tell me the number. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people will join a workshop, and for some hours they'll brainstorm. They'll rightly they'll want to be structured, and they'll systematically work through the fishbone and think things through, and they'll do their best to maintain discipline around going at it in a sequence. It takes hours, and then you probably won't finish. You'll probably need another session, which happens another period later. And then if you want to be cynical, this may well help. This may well help, right? It often does. It will give you ideas of what to investigate. But just being a little bit cynical about it, that will probably get written up in a PowerPoint and put in a folder somewhere. Now, obviously, also there's other good practice, which is it may be done on the shop floor on a whiteboard template. That's also quite common. Then the shop floor can actually see it, but a lot of the time they do get written up and just saved in folders, and who can see them? No one can see them then, right? Yep. So the ongoing benefit we get from that, the ability to find that, or for all the people that were involved in that to see that again, can be quite limited. Now, how about a vision where anybody on the shop floor can create a fishbone diagram for any problem in about 10 seconds? How about that? So if I am screen sharing, I think you did screen share a moment ago.
Yeah, there it is.
I know this is an area you're interested in, so I'll show it. Since we've talked about it, I'll show it. So if I'm in KaizApp here. This is the one part of the structure we guide people through. So defining a great problem statement is a Toyota type of terminology. So you've got define the problem, which part of the problem you're going to pick on to actually work on. So clarify. So in root cause stage, if I go to root cause analysis suite, in here there's a number of tools that are about accelerating this. So the problem statement, as we see, has been brought through. Battery life fails rapidly during the first. So okay, we've got it's a battery life problem. All right. So we got the fishbone diagram. You see what I mean by my point around it's sort of intimidating. A blank sheet of paper is kind of intimidating. There's a lot of thinking that would go into this. So if I now type over here, machine battery life, I just click away, and then I run the AI. So it's 10, 12, 13 seconds. We have some code behind here that talks to the AI and comes up with the most likely root causes for.
So there you pick all the categories. If you just wanted to focus in on several, you would just pick the ones you want.
Yeah, so you can customize. You can change these if you want. You can customize the defaults. Call it whatever you like. Yeah. So the machine, the AI has helped us to fill in the fishbone diagram, but of course you can add more to it.
Well, that's several hours of work right there.
Yeah, we've run it on very technical things in mining, in medical, in aerospace. It seems to know pretty much everything. It's quite scary. You can add new ones there, or you can edit these. But
Right.
the power we've seen is when people run this, almost always, pretty much always, you see when you go, I didn't think about that, and sometimes it's enough to almost attempt a quick win. Yeah, we may take varying. The next steps will vary, but the acceleration in you can be on the line, run a fishbone diagram. You can equally quickly start stepping through a 5Y process. If I just try and pick something that's a bit more exposure to frequent discharges, and try and pick one that's sensible. If I just picked overcharging inside method,
Yep.
we go 5Y. I just find method, overcharging or undercharging, apply the filter, add the 5Y. There's a lot to explain on this page, but anyway, the simple version is you just click on the bot again.
Mm-hmm.
Help me to think through the first 5Y. What sorts of things might I want to be thinking about?
Right.
And then in seconds, you've got faulty charging, battery degradation, incorrect voltage, charging too frequently, charging for too long, extreme temperature, incompatible charging method, manufactured. So it's giving you a whole range of. It's almost a splatter of stuff that relates back to the cause from the fishbone that you're thinking through. And
well, there again, you just saved hours of work right there.
But I'm not quite doing it for you. But why am I speeding? I'm speeding it up by exposing you to a lot of things that you might not think of so quickly. If you go, I'm not having any of those, you can run it again. So don't get on the second one. Just click on the first one again.
Yep.
And you can get another set of suggestions. Depending on what it is, you'll be able to run it a varying number of times. But it's a massive acceleration, and it really is the sort of the machine and the human coming together to just think through faster. And of course, what you can do is you on your own, you can take it as far as you can take it, and then then have the workshop and get help.
Yep.
You might have to redo. I mean, you can run this rerun that as many times as you like. You can rerun the 5Y. So go and get some coaching. Next step is to get some coaching. But that cycle, obviously with this technology, that cycle can happen very, very quickly.
Well, even within PACE, we've seen things change just around COVID or just around that, where people wouldn't have known about or accepted things like, we can do facilitation virtually. So, with Mural and with Menti surveys and so forth, we can bring in experts from all over the place. So yes, there's certainly a place and time where you want to get the 10 people in the room for 10 hours and go through it. But, there's other times where, you might be located in different countries or different plants, and you could bring people in, or you might need a coach just for part of it, or you might need a statistics expert for part of it. So, people are getting used to, doing a lot of this virtually or a lot of this with technology. And we see it, and I'm sure you see it all the time.
I mean, we've got clients that expect that using KaizApp in 50, 60, 70 factories where they would like their people on the shop floor in the middle of the night in a plant somewhere. They get a problem, they'd like them to just be able to run this. I mean, look how long that took. That took seconds.
Yep.
Seconds to run a fishbone diagram and think through a 5Y. They want that to happen. If something stops in the middle of the night in a plant somewhere, they want people to have the ability to do that quickly. Just guide them through the improvement process. And for people like you and I, we've both done lots of roles supporting improvement programs at various scales. For people like you and I, it just helps you and I to get more done. It's like one of the reasons I built it is because I hoped I would get to use it, and the idea was I want to spend more of my time doing improvement, working with the people, unblocking the improvements, coaching people to success. I want to do more of that value-adding improvement work, and less of the admin, less of the saving files, finding files. I mean, how many times you've been in a meeting, presenting to someone senior, and it's like you get asked the question. It's like, oh, who's got the latest version of that file? Is it on my drive or is it in your email? I mean,
Right.
with this, those days are gone. So people can work away as we've shown, and the manager, the leaders can have the visibility to see if you need to see how things are going, see if you need their help. We use it for presenting, so I don't need to write PowerPoints anymore. The reports, all the benefits tracking is all here, and people can just present. People just present from the application.
Mm-hmm.
I think we haven't given much of a tour, but you can basically present all your files and pictures, and everything is there.
So you could email things to people. You could share files.
Yeah, I could send you a PDF of this project in a few seconds, or you could say to me, Nick, I haven't seen you for a few days. Please will you present to me the sort of top 5 projects that were progressed last week?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need any prep time. It's all there, up to date. Wherever we've got to, it's there. I can just present to you straight away. I don't now need to think about it, go and write any slides, or it's there, and people just learn to work in that real way. You don't have to be embarrassed about what's not there, right? We've got as far as we've got. Everything is reflected there, and we just move forward. So yeah.
Well, how about how quickly things are changing? Like just yesterday, there was the big announcement from China on AI. So I presume you're looking at different ways of improving as well. So if you take AI, I guess you can't talk about all the things you're working on, but how are you looking at that?
Yeah, we will go on to. I mean, I'm not sure it's going to be particularly indistinguishable from Magic when we, another year or two. I mean, literally, well, less than that. Literally, we're going to be able to. I mean, I didn't show you how the AI works now in terms of coaching you through improvements, but literally, it's going to guide you through your thought process to solve something that you never imagined you could have solved. It's going to allow people on the shop floor to solve any problem at all. You're limited only by your ability to provide a good description of the condition, and some images and some video about the condition as well. And if you can describe that well, you're going to be able to get in a matter of seconds. You're going to be able to get to see the AI solving the problem. It'll write it down. Think about solving like a mathematics problem or something. Obviously, and the factory won't be a mathematical problem, obviously, but it just step by step. It'll just detail its assumptions, its thinking, its conclusions, and then it'll do it and give you an output, or tell you what the next steps are, and it'll be able to populate your project plan based on knowledge of. Just one example, but it's literally going to help you to think it through. So, what the AI is going to commoditize intelligence. I think it's going to be a long time before the AI can do anything with it, right? So,
you used an interesting quote, and I don't think you used it by chance. They say that's the definition of good technology. It's indistinguishable from magic, and that's exactly what you said.
Okay.
Like mining always has the perception or the reputation of being slow to change, and everybody says, oh, we want to be the first to be second or the first to be third. But to me, AI is a field where mining is not that far behind everyone else. The technology is so new that no one is really lagging. So it's a great application for heavy asset industries, oil and gas, mining, whatever you could think of, to start using these tools now, because they're evolving so quickly. Get in on the ground floor, just like you said, do a simple 5Y, do a simple fishbone, other tools in continuous improvement to get you started. And it'll get you started 90% of the way there within a matter of minutes, and then go back to your groups and vet it. But it's the perfect opportunity for mining to get in on these tools, because everyone else is in the same boat, or at least that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's almost, if one felt any guilt that the last 10 or 15 years haven't really kept up with, aren't really aware of what's happening, haven't really kept up with it, maybe feel behind, it's an opportunity to, I mean, our clients are telling us that having put it in, they feel they've moved forward by about, I'm not kidding you, by about a century.
Wow.
It's a century leap in your performance improvement capability, and it's cloud based. You can have it. There's nothing to install. Well, unless you want to hook up SSO, there isn't really anything to install. It's just you're just live from day one. It's just so easy. So you can come forward with your improvement capability by 100 years, literally. In next to no time at all. So it's an incredible opportunity, off the shelf opportunity. Yeah.
Well, that actually leads into my next question. So you answered one part of it. So if you look at senior leadership at plants and companies, and you compare, let's say 10, 20 years ago versus today, what's available to them now that they didn't have? So AI would be one, but are there other things you could think of that senior leadership could just grasp on today that just would have been totally unheard of, let's say a decade ago?
There are. I think that there aren't many things that are as easy. The only thing I would point out is there aren't many things that are as easy to get started with as something like KaizApp, which is sort of out of the box, right? But
Right.
I mean, something incredibly impressive is if you implement, Elon Musk goes around talking about a physics engine, right? So you've got a digital twin. So you create a digital twin of your factory,
Yeah.
and you allow, well, that digital twin will tell you what performance should be, right? And you can compare that to actual, and then potentially you can compare that to some physics. You have to do that, but the point is you can get a very representative way to compare theoretical to actual, and you can use that to find the big gaps to focus on, and because it's sort of going to the physics of it, it ignores certain losses. So a good example would be, you got a car going around the track, right? And you do the theoretical calculation, it would say, well, it should go around the track at 400 miles an hour. You go, well, why doesn't it go around the track at 400 miles an hour? Oh, drag. It didn't tell it that this thing called drag that saps all the energy and causes the speed to have a limit. So so the physics engine allows you to see what's theoretically possible, and you compare that to what you're actually achieving. That exposes some big opportunities, usually opportunities that we haven't thought about. So there's lots out there, but to implement a physics engine in a system like that, I mean, you can go further, and you can say, well, automatically allocate the improvement projects to teams, and then okay, well, for each improvement opportunity that's going to get allocated by the machine to a team, we need to actually find those people. Who are the right? What skills does each opportunity identified by the physics engine actually need? And let's have an application automatically finds the right team members for each. So you can go to kind of Star Trek with it, right? KaizApp, we're not trying to. That's sort of almost computer taking over. There are a very small number of companies that have gone quite far down that road, but they tend to be very, very large businesses, very stable, very large businesses, very high flow of value. Like hundreds of millions of dollars per day per factory. flowing down the value chain. So it's obviously a lot of investment to implement all that. But yeah, there's some really exciting things going out there. But KaizApp is more mainstream than that.
You said out of the box. So I'm thinking about internal experts and external experts. Like, so can people start putting in the business case and following the projects, or do they need you to kind of be consultants and to make a lot of changes? So like, is it 80-20? Like, how much after they download or get the KaizApp app, can they do themselves versus having to rely on let's say, yourself?
Yeah. So for steady state, obviously it's zero. I think we do have companies who've gone ahead with no support and they've succeeded, but at what cost? It depends on the situation, but I think you can go much faster in year one if you have some support, right?
Okay.
I mean, the support week, the launch week that I like to do, and this is sort of a per site. You don't have to do this. You could do a day, 2 days, but I've always liked to do a week. And what I do with that week is, well, you train how do you start a revolution? Revolutions form at a point. There's a number of points they might start at, but they start at a point, and it's a group of people that come together and decide they're gonna convince everyone else. So you form the early adopters come together and have a desire to go forward, and they bring the early majority with them, right? So in the first week, I'm finding those. Obviously, the company's going to tell me who they are, but that early adopter group, you train them, and I've obviously already understood. If I'm doing this week, I've already understood what they want, where they want to get to. So I actually help them to put live a series of real use cases into, not only trained in that, how to use it, real improvements, but then also the governance that goes around that. So for example, let's say that the use case they wanted to see was, so the site director can see all the improvement projects, all the business cases. Okay, so below him, there are a number of managers that work in a particular part of the plant, and they want to be able to. They're going to actually be the owners of the improvement projects, along with the lean manager for the site, for example, right, and their team. Okay, and then other people like engineers and quality are going to be collaborating and delivering parts of that. So we would train all of those people. I would train all of those people, and I would put those processes into action, and it can be more maybe more than that. Just try and keep it, try and limit the scale of what I'm describing here. And by the end of a week, like on the Friday, get everyone together and run it's like a feedback workshop where you present first from the bottom. It could be as low as the shop floor team leader, and then the manager, and she just demonstrates to the whole group each of the use cases live data, right? And having agreed, like, okay, this is the kickoff governance we're going to follow, which is like a monthly financial review, weekly project progress versus plan review. If we're going to implement, if operational KPIs will be in KaizApp, you can link the improvement projects to the KPIs. The leaders, the seniors, they love this, because when they run a weekly KPI review, they can just click on the click next to the KPI, and they can see, oh, look, for this primary KPI for my site, there are these 6 improvement projects that are helping me to helping this KPI owned by me, to reach its target by the end of the year, right? So it sort of ties it all together. So anyway, whatever use case you want to implement, you set what time do you need to set that up well, and then ensure that a system is actually set up. And then the leader obviously got to be part of that. If you do that well, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. It depends on the size of the site and scope and number of people involved and so on. And every time that's done well, leads to sustained. It has led to a sustained performance improvement culture, where the leader at multiple levels is involved, understands the improvement cycle, what they need to do. Finance understand, the leader understands, the shop floor works absolutely wonderfully. Yeah, I think so. So if it's not supported by anybody, that reaching that point takes much longer. It can take much longer, from months to even longer than that. And of course, what you have to remember is what you're losing is months of being at the maximum run rate of benefits. So it costs you more in the end to not take a little bit of support in order to make a really good start.
So it sounds to me like you want.
About that, but despite that, some people, will just choose to do it themselves, and that's okay. And some will choose support.
Right. So it sounds to me like you want a core group of, let's say, super users who know all the features, but the plant manager doesn't have to know how to input everything, and they'll be looking at it from different granularity than someone on the shop floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because we went through some, when we did the training with you, and it really took no time at all. Like within like half an hour, we were able to input what the project is, project charter, some quick financials, and then you're off to the races, within a very short period of time, which is really the hard part, just getting it started.
Yeah, I think one of a number of things that consultants bring to clients is the confidence that you can do it. And I think it's sort of testimony to the user friendliness and we get complimented on this all the time. It's very user friendly, and it's very fast to use. Right. It doesn't take a lot of training. Training is very fast. Consultants, we've been able to train them in, like yourselves. It's not even a day. It's 3 or 4 hours, then you go and use it, and then come back and ask questions, and you're there. You're kind of there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So but okay. What I was going to make is that's training, right? Mm-hmm. The governance and making the system work, which is really, really valuable. That takes just a little bit of experience, but it's not a big effort. It doesn't take so much time. But if you can get people to that point, then they can run from there. I always think that I've actually bought technology a number of times in my past corporate roles. So when I used to work with part of Anglo American years ago, and when I've bought technology, it's always like an order of magnitude better if you can adopt it quickly. So rather than drawing it out over 2 years, if you can get it all done in 3 months, it's just an order of magnitude less painful, less effort. It's not necessarily that much less painful, but it's certainly a lot less effort, a lot better accepted if you go more quickly. So that's what I prefer, right? Obviously, you can go. We have got organizations with as many as 50, 60 sites that have gone quite slowly over a couple of years. But in my view, you're just missing years of being at the full run rate of benefit when it's implemented, and that's a number in the millions. So it's not worth it.
Well, the analogy I like to use is like, here's Excel, and let's do a session on macros and statistics, and it's like, no, I just want to add up a couple of rows, and columns in Excel. So it's like don't make it over daunting and show you every feature about Excel. It's like, get started, see that you like Excel. It's not, it's really easy to use, and then you learn more features, or the ones that you need. There's no sense teaching everyone about every feature in Excel if they're never going to use it. So it's like dogmatic versus pragmatic approach.
Absolutely right.
So here, we're getting close to the hour, but I just want to leave it with you. So, are there any topics I didn't ask you about? Like, for example, we didn't talk about if somebody wanted to try it, to get started, the the models you have of, here's a test trial, or a few cases, and versus like you don't have to buy 1,000 licenses for your plant. So if somebody wanted to try it out, get started, learn more, maybe you can talk about that a bit.
Yeah, well, I think if people go, the best deal people are going to get is if they go through yourselves, because you guys have a very special deal where for a very, very small fee they can get access for 6 months. I think it's unlimited users, isn't it? I think it's unlimited users for 6 months for very, very little money. So that's that is the best deal around. That's a healthy amount of time to try it and learn the system and show the boss.
Anyone will be an expert within 6 months. There's no doubt about that. It doesn't take that long to learn. Yeah, so it pays. Our expertise is in the heavy industry, so we deal a lot with mining specifically, but other industries as well. We do work with healthcare and other entities. But yeah, if anybody's wants to give it a try, learn more about it, or just to ask questions, feel free to reach out, and we'll go through it with you. So anything else that I didn't ask you that you wanted to mention to the audience?
Yeah, I think I've talked a lot about performance improvement. If we have practitioners watching, it's a very important point in relation to continuous improvement problem solving on the shop floor. We see very, very clearly it is many times faster to get shop floor people up to speed with problem solving than any other method. So when I say any other method, what I'm really referring to is if we're using whiteboards or Excel templates and so on. It's because the way KaizApp is designed, because of the way it guides people through the improvement process. Lots and lots of other tools and templates you would use kind of go away. So the lower level, the lowest level, even machine operator level, people learn very, very quickly, and at the more senior level, where you have much more advanced improvement projects, they also fit perfectly into the structure. So there's a real acceleration in. Let me say it like this: the improvement cycle, learning the improvement cycle. Right, that's what we all struggle to train the shop floor in. Is they don't have this degree, this engineering degree where you get to do all these practical experiments and learn scientifically how to write how to solve a problem using scientific method.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I saw there was a question there that was very relevant to what we're talking about.
Yep.
I think that was, can you please explain performance improvement in one sentence?
Maybe two.
Yeah, I think we can. I'm going to describe it as, let me just collect my thoughts. So I would describe it as many minds. Now, many could be 2, 3, many minds that are going to collaborate to deliver, to realize a goal, or to meet a challenge. Many minds collaborating to meet a challenge in the direction of a goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
we're going to practical example. We're going to set a target. So we want to reduce the lead time by 50%. Okay, right? How are we going to do that? So that would be a performance improvement. Traditionally, what I've just described there, that's actually a formal definition that Jeff Leiker uses for continuous improvement, right? The challenge we've got is that in generalizing now, in most of the world, continuous improvement is seen as the sort of the incremental improvement that we do on the shop floor with the operators, with the team leaders, right? So it tends to be it's not associated with adding lots of value. It's associated with very incremental change. It's slow. That's engaging. It's very engaging, and we're going to use this, the way continuous improvement is perceived, to keep an operation at its operating at its potential. Is there a way to? Good question here, Nathan. Do you want to take it?
No, there was. I'll add on, but there was another question about can we measure KPIs? Is there a way to measure transformation KPIs on the KaizApp platform?
Yes, we have full KPI capability, and what's unique about the reason it's there is because it integrates with all the projects. So I can have a KPI, got an owner, a goal, and it's got an owner, a baseline, and a target. And I can connect that. I can connect all the projects that are going to drive that KPI to those projects. So yes, this is the answer. The answer is yes, and it's very clear, and people love it. Yeah. I think KPIs is an area where you can really you can apply too much technology to it. You know, it's like if a machine produces your KPI and you don't know how that KPI is calculated, how does it give you improvement when the KPI moves around? How do you have improvement ideas? Yeah. So with KaizApp, we've overcome that. Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just to quickly answer Poppin. So, there's different kinds of projects. Some are just the incremental ones where you're making 1% improvement. But if you make 1% improvement every day for a year, you're talking about, major improvements. Other ones could be lean projects where you're just trying to get rid of wasteful steps, which there are. Others could be designed for Six Sigma, where you're talking about capital projects. So, these terms mean different things to different people. Continuous improvement versus lean versus Six Sigma. But, I wasn't trying to get stuck into the names of them. It's really whatever type of project makes sense for you in your own environment, which I'll be happy to talk to you after the fact if you'd like. I think we'll have to wrap up, Nick. It's been an hour. I really enjoyed the discussion. I've learned a lot myself. If anyone out there is interested in learning more, contact us. As far as I know, I'm the only one with my name on LinkedIn, so I'm very easy to get a hold of. Nathan Stabina, Nick Raster. So once again, Nick, thank you for your time, and thank you for the audience for joining us. Oh, there's a little
great pleasure there, Nathan. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.